Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. جزاكم الله خيرا for being here. We are continuing our fiqh al-mu'amalat. We're still in Kitab al-Buyu'. We will be in Kitab al-Buyu' for a little bit longer. This might be the only thing that we'll be able to finish from this book. And then all of the other abwab that are in here, we'll either do it post Ramadan or post whatever we decide to do after the month of Ramadan. So far we've done four sub-chapters. 1, 2, 3. Yep, we've done 3. Today we are going to be doing the fourth sub-chapter. We'll try to do at least 2 today. If we can get to 3, alhamdulillah. Whenever you talk about mu'amalat, here this is a matn in the Shafi'i fiqh. Especially in this chapter that we are going to be covering, there's going to be some things that are only applicable to the Shafi'iyya that the other madhahib do not hold. So whenever you get to those type of things, just say, okay, khalas, this is from this madhab, this is how they look at it. And it might be different in other madhahib, so keep that in mind. With that, we are going to begin, inshallah. Abu Layth, tafadhal.
فصل ويصح السلم حالا ومؤجلا فيما تكامل فيه 5 شرائط أن يكون مضبوطا بالصفة وأن يكون جنسا لم يختلط به غيره ولم تدخله النار لحالته وألا يكون معينا ولا من معين.
Okay, طيب. He says فصل ويصح السلم أو السلف. This is a type of transaction that they used to engage in. The easiest way for us to understand it in English, it is going to be contracts. They would either call it salaf or salam. In the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would see both of the words used. One time it would be the word of salaf, and the other time it would be the word of salam. And the reason for this is, it's basically, I am going to hire you to do something for me. When I hire you to do something, I have to give up my wealth to you before you begin actually giving me the product. So I will tell you, I want you to buy me something. I'm going to give you this money. And because I am submitting this money of mine to you without actually getting something, right now, they call this the buying of salaf or the buying of salam. You are going to get the item at a later time. Right? You're going to get it at a later time. And it does not fall into the category of the different types of selling, but it falls into the second type. It's not something that you actually see, and it's also not something that is actually like you describe it as is. Right? We said there are 3 types of buying and 3 types of transactions. One of those is one where you see this book, you buy this book. Right? You give me the money, I give you the book. The other is you don't see this book, but I describe this book to you. I tell you this is how many pages it has, this is the color of it, these are the contents of it. Give me money, I'll give you this book. Right? It falls into this kind of category, but you do not have the same descriptions as you would for this book, because in general, it is not something that is there yet. It is something that has to be made. It is something that has to be gathered. It is something that has to be collected. And again, this is one of those types of transaction. And he says, حالا ومؤجلا, that it is allowed. It is allowed to do it either in, you can do it right now. And again, this is one of the things that only the Shafi'iyya allow, in terms of it being something you do now, right? I can sell you this book and tell you that this is a salaf where you give me the money and then I'll bring you the book, but the book is ready for me to give it to you right now. Other madahib, they do not consider this salaf, but they consider it just regular buying and selling. They consider it buying and selling, but the Shafi'iyya, they allow it because the Prophet ﷺ, when he describes salaf, he says that the time of it has to be known, and the weight of it has to be known, the description of it has to be known, and the price has to be known. So if the time is known, this is also a time that is known in this gathering that we are sitting in. What ends up happening if you tell somebody, for example, and again, I don't think we've mentioned this before, transactions in the Sharia are contracts. They are contracts, either they are written or they are spoken. And there's a need for there to be a speech about it. Right? I have to tell you, I am selling you this. And you say, I am accepting this. This has to be there, right? So when you come to how they allow it to be in this time that we are in, you would say instead of I'm selling it to you, you would say that I am contracting this to you. And if you accept it, the difference here is you would miss out on the idea of After 2 days or 3 days, I can say I don't want it and I can return it back to you. Right? So the Shafi'i allows the other madhahib to say, no, that's just regular buying and selling. Salaf has to be something that I give you money now and you give it to me later. Okay? Now he says, for it to be allowed, for it to actually work, he says that a person, it has to have فيه خمسة شرائط, that you have to have 5 conditions. And 5 conditions here, what is talking about, it's when you are coming to me, you want something. I am telling you I'm going to provide it for you, that thing. Those things, they have to have 5 things. 5 conditions. Right, 5 conditions. The first thing, it is مضبوط بالصفة, that you actually tell me what it is. Like you describe it to me. Right, for example, I want you to build a house for me. I need to know what the house is going to be like. How much space is it going to have? What kind of ceiling? What kind of floors? What are the doors going to be made of? What type of wood? Or let's move away from the house. I want you to give me dates. Or I want you to give me water bottles. I want you to give me computers. You tell me it's going to be this brand of computer. This is what it's going to be like. But there's no idea of like, it's this computer right here. Right? I'll get you a computer that's made by Acer. These are the specs that it has. This is how much money it has to be. So there's that, the idea of you describe it. The next one, it has to be something that by itself. He says, وَأَنْ يَكُونَ جِنْسًا لَمْ يَخْتَلِطْ بِهِ غَيْرُهُ. It cannot be something that is mixed. It cannot be something that is mixed. And here what it means, it cannot be something that is mixed unknown. Right? For example, I tell you, I like the stove that you have on. I want to go and buy, I want you to give me the same thing. I know that this might not be 100% cotton. Let's say it's 50% cotton, 50% polyester. Right? 50% cotton, because you know that 50% of this is going to be polyester and 50% of it being cotton. Them being mixed together does not have an issue. But now let's say I'm going to sell you some atar. And I'm going to sell you white musk. But it's not going to be pure white musk. I'm going to add things to it. Because you don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know how it's actually like. What percent of this is actual white musk? Right? Sometimes you go and you try to buy it and they look very different. There's the extremely thick one. And there's the one that is a little bit lighter. And a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. They're mixed with something. They're mixed with something. If it is going to be mixed and I don't know how much percent I'm actually telling you to give me, then it will not work. It has to be something that's either, if it's mixed, the percentages are known, how much you're actually going to get. So, with this, you would exclude like a lot of, what if I want a broth? You want me to bring broth to you one day. I want you to go make, some soup and bring it. Would you be able to do this? I want you to make chicken soup. No, because what's going to happen with it is, one, there's also another condition for it that it can be, changed by fire. But the idea that when I'm making soup, I'm going to, what if I put more water? You don't know how much chicken you actually are getting out of this. And when you do it, you have to know if it's mixed or not. If it's mixed, it has to be known. Half of it is this and half of it is this. Or 20% is this, 20% is this, all the way until you get to the product that is going to be in your hand. Are there any questions?
The Madboot of Saq, like you said?
Yes.
So over here, Salam and Salaf are both same thing?
Same thing. Salam and Salaf are the same type of transaction. It is just a transaction where you give money now, you get product later. Okay? So he says the third condition, وَلَمْ تَدْخُلْهُ النَّارِ لِإِحَالَتِهِ. That fire is never, you cannot change it with heat. You cannot change it with heat. Right? For example, bread. You tell me, I want you to get me 10 loaves of bread. You are a baker, come to get me 10 loaves of bread 2 weeks from now. Okay? I want it to be made out of sourdough. Or I want it to be made out of whole grain. I want it to be made out of wheat. Whatever it is. What happens is, if I tell you this, yes, I'm telling you what I want. But the idea, the fact that it can be changed by the fire, it will not come out to the description that I wanted, and also to the description that you wanted, it cannot fit into this thing. It cannot fit into this type of buying. Because there's a danger that you are not going to get your value for what you are actually paying. And you might end up not even liking the bread the way that it was made, right? But let's say I want dry rice. Dry rice, it's not going into heat. It's not going to be changed. Dry rice from this place to this place, this brand is going to be the same. So if you say, I want you to get me 100 pounds of dry rice a year from now, or 3 months from now, or the first day of Ramadan, whatever it is, right? You're making the contract. That, as long as it's not something that is going to be changed by the fire, and fire like artificial fire, and not artificial like fake fire, but the fire that you turn on, right? The fire that you are going to be using, and so on. And if it changes how it is, alas, you cannot have it. And then the fourth one, وَأَلَّا يَكُونَ مُعَيَّنًا. It cannot be something that is specific. You cannot ask for water and say, I want you to get me water from that well. Or I want you to get me these dates from this tree. Right? I want you to go get it from, I want you to get me these laptops, right? These laptops, and it has to be from Amazon. It has to be from Amazon. You can't say that. Right? Your thing is, I'm telling you the type of what I want you to get me. That's what I'm telling you. It cannot be something specific. It has to be a general description of the thing. You want dates, you want 100 pounds of dates that are like this and this, khalas, we'll get it for you. But then for you to say, I want these type of dates, right? I want these type of dates that are from this place only. You cannot do that. Why? Because there's a danger that you are not going to be getting what you are actually paying for. And you don't know if these dates or these, vegetation or this, type of product that you're telling them you have to get from this place, if it's actually going to actually be there. So you would give a general description. For example, I can't say I want this Acer computer, but an Acer laptop, halas. There's like with these same specification, there's possibility for you to get it from somewhere else, right? And then the other one, he says وَلَا مِن مُعَيَّرٍ, and it cannot also be from a specific place. The item itself cannot be specific, and also the place you cannot say, I want you to get me some oranges from only this garden right here. Only from this garden. You cannot do that. Why? Because you don't know what the future holds for this garden. But this what if there's no oranges that come from it? And the date that you actually said came. You already took my money, right? And here you get the difference between, I want this thing or I want a thing. Right? This is what I'm getting. These are the conditions when it comes to the item. The conditions that when it comes to the item that I am requesting from you or you're offering to sell me. Any questions here? Bismillah. Next one.
ثم لصحة المسلم فيه 8 شرائط، وهي أن يصفه بعد ذكر جنسه ونوعه بالصفات التي يختلف بها الثمن، وأن يذكر قدره بما ينفي الجهالة عنه، وإن كان مؤجلا ذكر وقت محله، وأن يكون موجودا عند الاستحقاق في الغالب، وأن يذكر موضع قبضه، وأن يكون الثمن معلوما، وأن يتقابض قبل التفرق، وأن يكون عقد السلم ناجزا لا يدخله خيار الشرط.
Okay, we talked about the item. Now he tells you that for the Muslim, the thing that this actual contract that we are engaging in, for it to be valid, you need to have 8 conditions. Right? For it to be valid, you need to have 8 conditions. He says the first thing that you need to have from these 8 conditions, أن يصفه بعد ذكر جنسه ونوعه بالصفات التي يختلف بها الثمن. When you're actually mentioning this, when you're actually talking about, let's go back to the example of the house. You can build a house many different ways, right? Many different ways. I can give you carpet floors, or I can give you what are the other options? Tile. I can give you wood. On top of that, if I give you carpet, I can give you this one, or there are other types of carpets. When I describe it to you, I know that for this is the price. For this other type, this is the other price. For this other type, this is the price. So if you go to, let's say, vegetation, or you go to an iPhone, you say, I want you to give me 100 iPhones. I want all of them to be red, right? I want all of them to be, let's say you tell them 64 gigabytes. But listen, if you want red and they're 128 gigabytes, it's going to be this is the difference in price for it. right? So you know it and you understand that the options are here. When I describe it to you, I know that if I get this one option, it's going to be more expensive. If I get this other option, it's going to be less expensive, and so on. And what he says that you have to describe, it's first, what's the jins of this thing? What is it? What are you selling? Is it going to be, is it going to be like, let's say, an iPhone? Is it going to be a date? Is it going to be an orange? So you know that part of it, right? You know the jins of the thing. From those, what type is it? If it's not all dates are the same, not all oranges are the same, not all iPhones are the same, not all houses are the same. It is a house, but now what kind of house is it? Is it a 2-story house? Is it a flat house? Right? And then you also, it has to, the description when you do it, you are going to be telling him or telling the person that this is all how it needs to be. This is the thing that changes the prices, and so on. Then after that, he says, وَأَن يَذْكُرَ قَدْرَهُ بِمَا يَنْفَعُ الْجَهَالَةُ عَنْ. When you're actually explaining, let's say, 10 pounds of this date, or this much carpet, you do it to the point where, I know exactly what I am going to get and I'm not ignorant of what's coming. 100 iPhones with 64 gigabytes of memory, with this color and so on. I know what, in my mind, what it should look like, right? So that's how you would, describe it. Now he says, وَإِنْ كَانَ مُؤَجَّلًا ذَكَرَ وَقْتُ مَحَلِّهِ. He says, if you are the other thing that you have to do in this contract, you have to mention what? Let's say, a actual time. When are you going to give me this? When am I going to get it? And the time can be tomorrow, and the time could be a month, and the time could be 2 years, and the time could be wherever, wherever it is that you want to get it to. However long we are both agreeing to that we are going to get this from, and it has to be a specific time. I can tell you, for example, I want to get it the first of Ramadan. This day is known to all of us. When the first of Ramadan comes, I am expecting I'm going to get whatever I told you you're going to bring for me. What if I told you in the next 10 days? Or I tell you 10 days from today. These are days that are both known to us. We know that this day is going to be the 10th. 10 days from today, it will be 10 days away. That's when I'm expecting this. I'm giving you my money now so that you can give it to me at the time.
They're saying the meeting has ended accidentally.
Yeah, somebody kicked it out.
No.
Tell them join again. Okay. Huh? MashaAllah. I guess the notification. It tells me. So you mentioned again, you mentioned the actual date. One of my okay, I think they just got kicked out again. So open Zoom on your thing and let them join. You have Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So open it for them, tell them to join from there. I think it keeps saying someone is using the account. Should we wait or should we continue?
Let's wait.
Yes, wait 30 seconds, open, Bismillah.
I don't have access to the class. Well, they're saying the host has another meeting in progress. Is the account shared?
Yeah.
Should I make a Google meeting and
You can be my Zoom if you want. Yes, on the Zoom.
Just waiting for the host.
Yeah, I know. You send your link. Just make one and send it there.
I got a quick question about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send one.
Can is there a specific period that
This is my one
the due date has to be mentioned within, or can it be open ended?
No, it has, before you agree, before everything becomes valid, you have to mention it.
Okay, so but what if it's it could be a year out? Is that fine?
It can be 5 years out from now.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to, when you get a house, generally, especially in those times, you're not getting it right now. Right? You're not getting a year. Listen, this is going to take me 2 years to do it.
Yeah.
As long as you agree and you're giving your money, this is a debt that remains on the person's neck. So they have to bring it. They'll have to come in and bring this thing.
Basically, you can't say next time it rains, I'm gonna bring you dates.
No, it has to be known thing.
Yes, sir.
Like it has to be exact. Like this is the day that we're going to do it, right? You could use to say a year from now, and then you would.
Can you join the link I sent? What should I send to you?
No, just turn it on the
Turn
phone.
it on.
They will hear us?
Yeah,
Let's keep it on.
my phone's on like 6%, but
Pasha, here you go.
okay.
You have to admit people in.
خلاص. Just hold. Atiq, give it to Atiq. Let him have. Let the people in.
Admit. Admit.
Just change it to open
Yeah.
instead of having to admit people.
No.
Can you change the settings to allow that?
Huh?
Can you change the settings so it doesn't have a waiting room?
Yeah, I think that's what he's being told to
That's what I'm
do.
trying to do.
Brother,
How many software engineers does it take to-
you know, this is something I don't understand about this place. We come and we always have technical. Why are we having technical problems?
No, I think, but you have to. You're forgetting the core of the problem is that it's a shared Zoom account. You know?
Oh, that's the issue, huh?
Yeah. So
I see.
if we didn't have a shared Zoom account,
This wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So see, that's what he's trying to protect his Google Meet. That's what it is. He doesn't want the blame to be on there. You guys.
يلا بسم الله.
Okay, Bismillah, they can hear us. Okay, where were we? Where did we stop?
First one, second condition, time.
Okay, the time, you have to give a specific time. It cannot be a condition like our brother said. You can't even say, for example, when Ismail comes back. When Ismail comes back from his travels, I'm going to give you this. No, it has to be, like the time has to be known. And then the condition that comes after that. And then he says, وَأَنْ يَكُونَ مَوْجُودًا عِنْدَ الْإِسْتِحْقَاقِ فِي الْغَالِبِ. Generally, this thing that you are buying, it is like there. Like you have capabilities of getting it. So it cannot be something that is like, there's one of these things in the world. Or a few of these things, and it's extremely difficult for you to get it. It cannot be something like that. It has to be something that is, generally this is something that's available, like, or it is something that I can produce, I can make it, right? I can go, dates, I know that like in those times, like let's say for example, you wanted to get watermelon. Watermelon has a season, right? These fruits have a season, the vegetations have a season. You can't say, in the winter, I want to sell you mangoes. I want to sell you watermelon. Obviously, this time is different, right? They're made inside of a room, so khalas, they're always available. But in that time, it was not available. So you can't say, I want you to give me 10 mangoes or 10 pounds of mangoes in the winter time, because it's not there. But if you say it in like springtime, summertime, you know that generally this is something that is available and you are going to be able to go and find it, right? So it has to be something that, it cannot be something so rare that it's a few people have it. That only a few people are able to get access to. If you're from those people that are, like let's say, I know diamonds are not that rare, right? But we believe they're so rare. If you say, I want you to get me this much diamond, he can, from our understanding of it being so rare, if he's someone that's in the diamond business, it's not hard for him. But for the rest of us, it will be difficult, right? So it has to be something that majority of the time it is like, while you're getting in this contract, it is something that can either be made or it's something that is there. The other thing is, when يذكر موضع قبضه, you actually have to mention where are you going to take this thing? Where am I going to deliver it to? Because sometimes, like let's say, me and you are on an airplane. We're 36,000 feet above the air, and we decide, hey, we decide to get into this contract. And you don't mention where, or you say, I want it in this same airplane. That's impossible. I can't bring it here. It has to be somewhere where I can actually give it to you. This also means, for example, if I'm ordering something big and I don't, like you say, come to the warehouse, get it from the warehouse. No, that's too difficult for me. How am I going to transfer this? It's your job to bring it to me, and I tell you I want it at my house. And you agree that, okay, I'm going to bring this to your house, right? And then you can't come and say, oh, it's too difficult to bring to your house, come and get it from it. Right? So the place that you're actually going to take place, this transaction is going to be completed, it has to be known. You have to know where it is and it has to be mentioned. And then he says, وَأَنْ يَكُونَ الثَّمَنَ مَعْلُومًا. I actually also have to know at-thaman, the price of it. I have to know how much it is, right? It's not something that agree to this now, right? Once it's completed, I'll tell you how much all of it costs. No, this is dhulm, right? Because I don't know what you're telling me to do, and unfortunately, this is something that you see these days in terms of,
Car dealerships.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Not only car dealerships, even with some let me come and do the work. Afterwards, I'll tell you how much everything costs. No, I need to know before so that I can either agree to it or not. Right? You can't do something and just tell me, hey, this is how much it is. Sometimes you call people to fix something in the house. For coming, they charge you. Then afterwards, they tell you, okay, this is how much to fix all of these things are. You have the choice of either accepting or khalas, I don't want it to be fixed and so on. So it has to be a price that is known.
So, like you mentioned, for handyman or like construction workers, right? So, what if that price is already? They mentioned that if I come out there, this is how much I charge for just showing up.
Yeah, no, that's different.
It just needs to be mentioned in the contract.
Yeah. So if someone's like, let's say, I'm going to go inspect the project, I don't think there was a time where they used to do this for free. They might have been, right? Where they're like, okay, let me come check it out, and then I'll decide if I want to do it. If I do, this how much. But now, anytime you call any type of handyman, anybody that you want to do something, simply for showing up, they're charging you. Right? Simply for just coming, you have to pay, whether they do the work or not. Right? For that, this is not a contract. Right? You are renting their time. You're renting their time, and then when we get to ijara with renting and things like that, we'll talk about it there. But that is different than, that I charge $160 every time I come, or I charge $75 when I come, whatever it is, right? That's different than this type of contract. In the beginning of this type, I want 100 iPhones, this color, this many space, on this day, first day of Ramadan. You have to tell me how much it's going to be before the contract could be valid. So you have to tell me, it's going to be 100,000, or it's going to be 50,000, it's going to be $20, $30, whatever it is. We know the price, and there's not going to be an increase in the price. Because if the price increases after I've given you the money, what is it?
Riba?
Riba. It's riba. The easiest way to know riba is when one of the people get benefit while the other doesn't get something. If the price suddenly goes up after I've already given you money, that is not my problem. You cannot come to me and say, your 100 iPhones, when I told you I was going to sell it to you for 100 each, the price of it was 40. Now the price of it is 60 and I still want to make that same amount. Therefore, I'm going to charge you 120. No. We agreed to the price. Therefore, this is what it has to be at the time of delivery. And then the next one, he says, وَأَن يَتَقَابَضَا قَبْلَ التَّفَرُّقِ, that you actually have to exchange before you leave one another. And what are you exchanging? You give the money.
You get the goods.
No goods here. You don't get goods when you give the money. The goods are going to come at a later time. Yes.
What if you guys agreed to that deal where the prices of the goods increase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just back out after that to like avoid. But it wouldn't couldn't they just back out from that deal? Or
Once
you have to go through with it.
Once you've taken my money.
No, okay. So let's say the money hasn't been.
No, you could cancel any time. So these 8 conditions have to be met before it's safe. Like when these conditions are placed, I can take you to court and say, I gave him this money, I met all of these requirements, and he did not deliver. Right? And that could be because, like, let's say again, what if you sold it, like we agreed, 100 water bottles of this color, of this size, for a certain price, and you thought when you were agreeing to this that you were going to make a profit. But in the time that we agreed this thing now, you're losing money. You have to spend more of your money to buy it and bring it to me. You can't come and say, khalas, our deal is off because I'm not making a profit anymore. Right?
So we also mentioned that if there's options, right? So what if we say 100 bottles, we're going to bring a certain brand, but we've already mentioned that if that's not available, this is going to be the price for the other one. That is still valid.
So when you're doing that, you don't have an option of saying another time. What you're actually going to do is, as you're telling me before I choose, but once I decide it's this color of water bottle, right? This color of water bottle, this size of water bottle, then you can't come and say, I'll give you the more expensive one, or I'll give you the less expensive one, because that's not what we agreed to. What we agreed to is this description of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So instead of like when you're telling me about the different prices is you know what makes this more expensive, right? So you're telling me that if you're giving me that option, I can give you this water bottle, right? But hey, instead of it being made out of plastic, I can get you one that is half plastic, half glass, right? And that will be this price. For that, I haven't agreed to anything yet. But once I say either that plastic one or I say this one, it has to be this that you are going to bring to me, right? Not obviously not this, but this type of thing.
So basically, change orders that come across in construction projects and stuff are not right. If you look at it this way.
If you look at it this way, if I agree to, but if let's say something happens down the line of we can't actually get this thing anymore, but hey, we're offering you an option to do it, or we give you your money back, and then the person says yes, I'm okay with this changing, or no, actually I'll look for something better, give me the money back. So you would stop, and then you'll say, okay, what do we agree to now? It's too difficult to get it. I'm unable to bring it. Then it would be okay, give me my money. We'll go from that point. The other thing, like before you split, I have to give you the money. How much money are you supposed to give? How much? Half, 10%, 20%, 30%? All? Huh? All of it. You have to pay all of it. You cannot say, let's just make it easy on ourselves, $1,000 for 100 iPhones. Just follow with me. I can't tell you, I'm going to give you 500 now and 500 at the end of the job. When you do that, that's riba. When you do that, that's riba. How is that riba? Because you're not exchanging. What's happening now is, when I give you this $1,000 for 100 iPhones, do you owe me money? Do you owe me something? There's a dain, there's a debt. There's a debt that you owe me. Do I owe you anything? No, I don't owe you nothing. You took my money already. I'm owed something, so there's nothing on me. I am just waiting for my product. But the moment I say, you take 500, but you are supposed to bring me $1,000 value, and I'm going to give you the 500 when you finish. You have a debt still. Now do I have a debt?
Yes.
I have a debt. And when we are coming at that time to exchange these debts, what are we doing? Money for money, debt for debt. And it becomes riba. Becomes riba. Riba in contracts. So be very careful when you engage in these type of things. Right? You don't know what's happening, then you come on the day of judgment. You engage in riba. Okay, so, question here.
Is it the same thing if you pay all at one time at the time of delivery? Instead of saying half now, half later?
So I don't give you now.
Yeah, so like you both agree, okay, don't give me anything now. Mm-hmm. Give me that $1,000 once I bring you your 100 iPhones.
So would it fall into this?
No, but these are not working.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It wouldn't fall into what we are talking about. But what that falls into is that's a promise. You made a we're making a promise. Now let's say, and again, we said all transactions, these are contracts. What we mean by that is, you are able to go to a qadi, to a judge, and say, we had an agreement, he broke the agreement. If you make this promise today, that listen, I'm going to bring you 100 iPhones. The price, everything else is met. Description, where are you going to get it? When? All of this is met. But then you tell me, you'll pay for it when I bring it. You come to me, I say, I don't want to buy it anymore. I don't want to take it. If you take me to a judge, whether it is the kafir courts or the courts of this holds nothing, right? In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, I agree, I made a promise, right? And I broke the promise. That's a different thing. But the court here itself in this land, they can't force me to buy it. Because yeah, I agree, we agreed together, but there's no contract we have. So if you go to an Islamic court, that's not something that they're going to uphold. Because it's a promise and it's not like, if you took my money, a different story. But it wouldn't fall into this place. Us here.
So one of the forms of transaction that I've seen in real estate is like, two parties come together and they would exchange sort of like token amount, right? Saying, yeah, we have this, but they go on to execute the final sale of it at a later date. Would this also fall in the same category? So let's say I want to try and buy a piece of land, and I say, here you go, here's my $100 as a token that yes, we're going to execute on this transaction, or we have executed this transaction, we're getting into agreement, and I will get you rest of your $900 at a later date, and that's when we'll sign the papers.
So would this fall into here? Question for you guys.
It's starting on deposits, like initial
Yeah, like
deposit,
booking maybe.
or reservation payments.
So would that fall into contracts? Huh?
It's called earnest money deposit here in contracts. In real estate, earnest money deposit, that's when you agree on paying this certain amount. Now you're in contract. But if you pull out, and there's a certain contingencies, like if you pull out before that, you get your money back. But after, you don't get your money back.
So that would be different than this. This would be different than this contract of ours, right? Because this contract, actually, we'll get to the last condition of it. But deposits that you give will come in a chapter that talks about deposit, right? For now, this is contracts. Contracts, how can they be, and so on. When you're buying this land, that if I have land and I'm like, listen, it's going to be ready at this time, give me your money, your place is secure. Your place is secure in this. This is different than this type of contract. It's different. How is it different than this type of contract? Because this is one for something that I am giving you all of the money for it, so you are responsible for actually bringing it. But for this one there is a possibility that I'm not going to give it to you. You also have the option of saying, no, I actually don't want to do it. Let me take my money. Let me take my money back, right? With this, that option is not there. That option of canceling after you have divided is done. No more.
So you mentioned something about basically you're paying money for money equals riba, and that's something that's not because both parties are in debt, right? So does that only apply for like situations where it's like you're paying half now, wait until the job half later, or can you maybe instead before the job is done, for example, you split payments beforehand, so that you by a certain date before the job is started, for example, you pay that person so that they can get the job done. Is that just equivalent of just like paying all that?
Okay, so there's a difference. There's a difference between, like, let's go. Like, I feel like this applies when you're getting a house or when you're getting a house fixed and so on. There's a difference between paying for the actual labor, like the time of these people to do the thing, and then there's the payment for the actual like building, the actual materials to build the place, right? Sometimes, like in contracts, they will tell you, we will build it, right? We will charge you our labor. This is the fee of the labor. You would pay that over this period of time. 10% at this time, or 20% to start, 30% here, another percent here until you complete it. Then there's like, you have to buy these materials for it, right? So there's a difference between like the actual making of the building of the house and the materials used for the building. For this, you would say that this is going to be for the material itself, the material that I am going to bring it. And then we're going to have a separate contract for the actual building of it, for the actual building of the house. And then that's where you would come into those splits of, you do this much time, I'll give you this much of it now, right? And even that will come later in the chapter of taking the people's time, right? Paying for the people's time and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do and so on, right? So this is how they would go, like, especially now in our times where houses or things are very expensive. Things are very, very expensive. Like to build a house, to do all of these, or even to like, not a house, like let's say you want to make repairs. They give you the options, pay for all of the material now, and then pay this much to start it. Here you wouldn't say that this is all salaf, or that this is all salaf. But these are two different contracts that are being brought together. So it wouldn't be debt for debt at that time. But for the material itself, or for like let's say those 100 iPhones, this is for the item, like you have a debt, I have a debt. Right? Allah knows best.
So with the 100 iPhones, he said it would be debt against debt. But he's still like, so once he's paid 500 and the guy says, I'm going to pay you 500 after I receive them. Once that 500 he owes is trying to give, he's still getting items for it. It's like, are we just analyzing that it's money against money? Because at the end of the day, he's still getting the item for that money. It's not basically exactly.
It's not riba, yeah. It's not riba as we know riba. And we said riba, there's many types of it. And the reason why this is happening, it's the fact that you are engaging in this thing, in salam or in salaf, and you have a debt that is on your neck. Because this is not supposed to be what's on your neck. But it became on your neck because of how you violated this thing here. And then here, now it becomes, what is actually on your neck? It's money. Money is on your neck. What is on this person's neck? The debt that he has to bring these products. So when you're coming, you're not engaging in like a transaction that is, I get something for something I already gave you. Right? So now because it's, I have to give you something, why are you giving me this? What am I actually giving you? What am I actually getting back? You are like his entire thing is called debt. These 100 iPhones, it's a debt. On the other hand, what I have to you now, it's also a debt that I have to give you. And because of that, it's not like we're going into to be like, yeah, I'm giving you money, I'm still getting the same product. Everything else is agreed to it. But this debt that I have to give away, like it's not that you will come on the 21st of November that we agreed to and be like, here you go, here's what I promised to give you, I have fulfilled. Now where's my money? Where's the rest of my money? Right? So because of that, it turns into debt. It becomes like an exchange of debt. Right? And then this is why whenever you look at things, like today, you have the discussions on why are like mortgages, why are they haram? Why mortgage is haram? Isn't it just that I'm buying this from you, but I'm buying it with deferred payments. Like I'm not paying all of it at once, but I'm going paying this much, this much, this much. When they go and sell this product, when they sell your debt, what are they selling it for? For another debt, right? And because what you have from me is debt. You go and you take my debt and you sell it to somebody else. That's now, what is that called? Selling money for money. You're not selling actual anything. And then money for money, whenever we sell money for money, it's always riba. Anytime there's an exchange of, you give me 100, I give you 100, that's riba. Right? Right. It says the other thing, وَأَنْ يَكُونَ عَقْدُ السَّلَمِ نَاجِزًا. It has to be, here we're going to translate the word to be free. It is free or excluded from what? From khiyar al-shart. Khiyar al-shart, we mentioned there are 3 types of shurut when it comes to buying and selling. Who remembers them?
It has to be pure.
Not that one.
No.
The khiyar is options. In the contract when you're buying and selling, we said there are 3 types, there are 3 things. Right? Like there's 3 options of where you have a choice to accept or reject.
The gathering, the condition, and the aid.
There you go. The first one is khiyar al-majlis. Of while we are sitting in this gathering, we can be talking about this contract, we can be talking about me selling you this water bottle or this computer, or we can be talking about me giving you, like hiring you to do something for me. All of this while we are in this gathering, just because I told you I want to do this and you say, yes, I accept doing this. If I were to tell you afterwards, actually, I don't want it. Is that possible? Can I do that? Yes, that's an option. As long, like we're in the majlis, we're in this gathering of making it, I can decide, I don't want to do it actually. I want you to give me back my money. That is one of it. Then the other one is khiyar al-shart, which is, yes, I sold you this, but I make it a condition that I have 3 days to take it back, and you also make it a condition you have 3 days to return it. And what we talked about when we went over this, we said, in the Shafi'i madhab, you only allow it up to 3 days. There's no maximum, there's no more going beyond 3 because of the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is an option that I have as the buyer and you have as the seller. The seller can come to you after he's hey, I want it back actually. I don't want to sell it to you. All right? And for those 3 days, that option is there. But this has to be stipulated while you're doing it. It's not just, hey, you come to my store, I scan your thing, you've taken it, and then I come to you and say, actually give it back to me. No, when I'm buying it, you have to say, I have the right to take it back. But only up to 3 days. Then the other one, we said it is the khiyar of aib. And this is only for the buyer. If there's a defect, it doesn't matter when. If there's a defect in the product, I can bring it back. In this salam, all of those conditions, except for the one of sitting, is removed. Except for the one that is missing is removed. You can't say, after 100 days that we agreed to, or after 2 weeks of you bringing me this thing to me, I need 2 days to test them out. If I don't like it, no. That option is not there, right? that is from the contracts, that option is removed. And again, it is to save both the buyer, actually in this case it's to save the seller, right? The Sharia, with the thing that it highly looks at is that the wealth of the people has to be protected. So if I come to you and I've given you this money, you've went and used it and you've bought, whatever, or you've made it, for me to still have the option of saying, actually I don't want it, this is not fair to the person that is bringing this product. Because we don't know what they went through for them, in order for them to bring it to you. And because of that, that is going to be left out of there. And these are the 8 conditions that have to be met concerning the contract. And then 8 plus the 5 concerning the item, then you could engage in this contract.
Khiyar al-Abi is taken out from here?
From this it is, yeah.
So basically, if I give you 100 defective iPhones, you cannot send them back.
If you send me 100 defective iPhones and they're not the way that we said to, I will take you to court. Okay. And that will be because when we agreed to things, it's when you tell me it's going to be this laptop, not this laptop, but like this brand of laptop, and it's going to have these specifications and so on, it's going to work this way and not. When you actually come to me and it doesn't do that, you haven't fulfilled what we agreed to, right? So it has to be, when I tell you like 10 pounds of oranges, you can't bring me orange peels and say this is 10 pounds of orange peels as orange. No. Or you can't like cut. No. You told me it's going to be oranges that are picked, that are like this, and this is how we know them to be. If it's not, you are in violation of this contract and you are liable in front of the court.
Gathered shirt was all 3 of them? All 3 conditions or come under that?
No, so the not the one of the majlis. The majlis is still there.
And the other 2?
And the other 2 are not there. Right, those 2 are going to be the ones removed. Because in the majlis you can still decide, I actually don't want this. Give me my money back, or I'm not going to give you the money because I don't want it. Right? And then how long did we say the majlis lasts for? Is there a time?
3 days after the party.
No, the majlis is if we are here for 10 hours talking about it, doesn't matter. But as soon as we get up, it's done. No more idea of, actually give me my money back. No, I actually don't want those iPhones. No, pause. You've decided and it is done. Inshallah. Let's continue for a little bit. Okay, let's do this next chapter. It's actually very quick. Bismillah.
فصل وكل ما جاز بيعه جاز رهنه في الديون إذا استقر ثبوتها في الذمة وللراهن الرجوع فيه ما لم يطلبه ولا يضمنه المرتهن إلا بالتعدي وإذا قبض بعد الحق لم يخرج شيء من الراهن حتى يقضي جميعه.
Usman, read the translation verse.
Anything that can be sold can be offered as collateral for loans once the loan has become irrevocably established as a personal debt. The one offering collateral may void the transaction as long as the other party has not taken possession of the item. The one holding the collateral is not liable for damages except for transgression. If he takes possession of some of what is due, none of the collateral is released until all of the debt is settled. Okay,
let's say you owe me money. This is the chapter of al-Rahn. Al-Rahn or al-Ruhun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, Rihanun maqbooda. Right? If like let's say you're traveling, you can't find someone to write, this contract of buying and selling or debts to you. What you actually could do is, hey, I owe you $100. I don't have the $100 to give you, and there's no one for us to actually, put this down because I need you to give me this $100. So what I'll do is I'll give you this computer. You hold on to this computer until I bring back $100. That is al-Rahn. That is al-Rahn. It means holding something until you get the money that that you're owed, or the debt that is owed from you, until you give it back to them. And it can be anything that is sold, or we'll say anything that you can sell and buy, right? It cannot be, for example, anything that is haram to sell or haram to buy. You cannot use it as collateral. So while we're in the Shafi'i madhab, what does that mean? Give me an example of something haram that you cannot use as collateral. Alcohol, or here, take my dogs, right? Or take my, musical instruments and hold them, and then we're going to be able to, I'll give you money, you give me, nope. Anything that can be bought and sold, you can use it as collateral. The collateral that you are giving, there is no condition for it to be equal to the debt that you owe. right? It doesn't have to be equal. It doesn't have to be that of you owe me 100 or you owe me 1,000. The item I'm giving you is 100 or 1,000. It can be whatever you want, because the reason why you're giving it is that I know I'm going to give you the debt that I'm going to fulfill the debt that I owe you, but hold on to this in case it doesn't come, right? In case, and that motivates me and also motivates you to help me in this need to give me money, right? And then he says, وَلِلرَّاهِنِ الرُّجُوعُ فِيهِ مَا لَمْ يَقْبِضْ. If let's say we agree to this collateral, but I haven't, the collateral is going to be this book, but I haven't given it to you yet, but we've agreed. I can decide, no, never mind, I actually don't want to put this as collateral, right? I'll come with something else, or if it's, but as soon as you grab it and it becomes yours, khalas. There's no going back until I come and actually bring the debt that I owe you. And then he says, وَلَا يَضْمَنُهُ الْمُرْتَهِنُ إِلَّا بِالتَّعَدِّي. Let's say I gave you this book, or I gave you this stove, or I gave you my watch, or I gave you a cup, or I gave you... You are not going to be responsible for it, for the condition of how you return it to me, unless it is due to negligence. For example, you give me a nice cup. It is haram for me to use this cup without your permission, right? So a cup, I can pour water into it, I can make like different things used for a cup. Prophet ﷺ made it haram for a person using it without the permission of the one that is giving it up as collateral. You didn't give me permission. I go home, I put it on the table. A child comes, pours, hot liquid, and the thing breaks. It broke. Now, if it broke, right, I am responsible for it. I am responsible for it. But let's say you gave me that same cup. I went and I put it in storage. I put it in a place where I thought it's going to be safe. All of my other cups are safe. If this cup breaks, am I responsible?
No.
I'm not responsible. Unless I did it with negligence. Unless I was neglectful in how I treated this item of yours, whether it is a thobe, whether it is a cart, whatever it might be, if I was negligent in how I treated it, I am responsible for giving it back to you. Let's say you gave me a sheep as a collateral. I took your sheep. I fed it the way that it should be fed. I took care of it how I'm supposed to. The sheep dies. I didn't do nothing to it. Didn't make it do work, nothing. But I took care of it as a responsible person is supposed to do. But it died. Can you come to me and say, khalas, that debt that you owe me is gone because the collateral is gone? No, not say that. And the collateral could never be used to be can never be like substituted for the debt that you actually owe. So you can't come to me and say, oh, you killed my sheep? Khalas, I don't owe you. No. Your sheep died. I'm not responsible for it. But what if I went and I slaughtered it and I ate its meat? Right? What if I did that? Then I am the one that is responsible. Therefore, I have to give you the sheep back, or I have to give it to you. And if, let's say, $100 is what you owed me, and I gave you the sheep, you gave me the sheep as collateral for it. But I'm like, hey, let me give you 50. Let me take my sheep back. I'll give you that 50 the other time. Can you do that?
No.
Nope. Unless the entire debt comes back, then you get your collateral back. And this is how collateral is used. Again, obviously, these are very simple examples that were given, but you would use it. I don't even know if they use it in America, to be honest. Oh no, they use your credit as your collateral. Your future prospect is was being put on there. Bismillah. We are going to end the dars here. You guys are open to ask questions.